HGRD, 20% off on Tucket.com, code HERD. I wear the shirts all the time, not today, but generally I do. Welcome back to the show. All right, so the big question now is, all right, LeBron James' reign is about to end. Here comes Toronto, and everybody's now picking Toronto. Charles Barkley last night is picking the baby dinosaurs. Here you go.
We the North. We the North. This is the year. This is a different Raptors team. They're going to win this series. They got the best bench in the NBA. Well, that's going to come into play. They're going to have 3 or 4 bodies that they can throw at LeBron. He won't be able to win 4 out of 7 playing the way they play, where they give him the ball every single time and go 1-on-5. That will not work against this Raptors team.
He may be right. But if I talk about the Raptors for 3 minutes, all of you will turn the channel because they have no chance to win the East and no chance to win the championship. Depth doesn't win championships, and it rarely wins conference championships. The bigger story is what we just saw, because I've never seen anything like it. LeBron James single-handedly beat Indianapolis, the Pacers. He led them in 9 categories: minutes, points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, three-pointers made, free throws made, field goals made, 9 categories. The Onion, a very funny, satirical account on the internet, had a great headline yesterday. LeBron James credits teammates with providing 4 bodies necessary to avoid forfeiture against Pacers. That's essentially what it was. Before we get to the baby dinosaurs, let's acknowledge what he did. Something I've never seen. Let me give you an example how great it was. Michael Jordan's the best player ever, right? Let's go to his greatest finals ever, the Phoenix Suns. Remember that? He averaged 41 a game. It's the best I've ever seen Michael in a series. He was unbelievable. He must have led him in all the categories, right, Colin? No, Horace Grant led him in rebounds. Horace Grant led him in blocks. Scottie Pippen led him in assists. Scottie Pippen led him in steals. He didn't lead in field goal percentage. That was Michael's greatest series I've ever seen. Remember the one that got all the love? Utah, the second one, 113-degree temperature or something, like he was a Martian? That was MJ's unbelievable series. Rodman led him in rebounds. Pippen led him in assists and steals. And Steve Kerr led him in three-point percentage and free throws. And Tony Kukoc made the most three-pointers. Michael, in his best series, had all sorts of help. Kukoc and Kerr and Rodman and Pippen, Horace Grant. LeBron led in 9 categories and beat an NBA team. Good luck to Toronto. Wonderful city. Fantastic. Beautiful. Everybody loves Toronto. I get it. I love it too. But let's not just fly past this yield sign and not acknowledge it exists. Michael never did that. Magic never did that. Bird never did that. What do I like in the series? I really don't know, but I know the LeBron asteroid in recent years has also killed the baby dinosaurs. So that's probably where I'm going in this one. Let me shift gears if I can for a second to Tom Brady last night. It's a big story. Tom had that T-shirt, sports jacket look, perfectly tanned. It was some like kind of bougie symposium out east with reporter Jim Gray, and they were asking questions. And this is the question asked by Jim Gray that got the response that everybody's talking about today.
Do you feel appreciated by them, and do they have the appropriate gratitude for what you have achieved?
I plead the 5th. Look, man, that is a tough question. Yeah, I mean,
your wife seems to indicate.
Yeah. I think everybody in general wants to be appreciated more at work.
Are you happy?
I have my moments.
That's every successful person I've ever met, how they think. Are you happy? You know who's happy? The barista. The guy who's at the beach flying a kite. You know who's not ever truly happy? The people who are driven and aspirational and have a lot of responsibility. Are you happy? I mean, I'm sure Bill Gates has moments he's happy, but he's also giving billions of dollars to fight global hunger. He's got big boy pants on. These are major responsibilities. And by the way, doesn't everybody want to be appreciated more at work? I have a great job. I even feel that way. And I like my bosses. Like, so what? Let me just add this, is we're all freaking out about New England. And I think social media has added to this. We're trying to find perfect people, and they don't exist. Warren Buffett failed to invest in Amazon. Cost him probably $700 million. Steven Spielberg made Indiana Jones 4. It was awful. And Bill Gates, he whiffed on the phone, and he's still paying the price. But if I ask you tomorrow, you have all the money in the world, who would you want to run your portfolio? Wouldn't it be Warren Buffett? And if I ask you one director in Hollywood to make an adventure movie, wouldn't it be Spielberg? Let's say Belichick did whiff on the Malcolm Butler move. Tomorrow, clean slate, you get any coach. Who's it going to be, player? Hugh Jackson? It's going to be Belichick. There is no perfect coach. There is no perfect investor. There is no perfect director. I know sometimes when you run to social media, the mob, the tyranny rains down and you're absolutely sure you're always right. Let's say Belichick totally whiffed. You choose him today as your coach. And Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Spielberg. Veteran newsman John Goulet.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Colin, the 76ers did not play great defense last night.
They did a lot of open shots for Boston.
Yep, they lost 117 to 101.
Yeah.
And after the game, Joel Embiid was not happy about the team's performance, saying it was not who they are. Here's what he said.
This starts on defense, I thought I was I thought we were all bad tonight, so that's not what we are, definitely. I think, when everybody is on, we're the best defensive team in the game, and, there's a lot of stuff with game plan that we didn't execute.
God, he's honest. I would argue they're not the best defensive team. They're playing against the best defensive team, but are the 76ers in trouble in this series?
Well, I mean, just ask yourself. Literally, Boston didn't have, arguably, depending on how you feel about Al Horford, they didn't have their three best players. We're on one day's rest, really, and crushed Philadelphia. I mean, you can't feel good about that. Like, I went into that game last night, and I'm like, I'll take the Sixers if Jaylen Brown doesn't play. And 8 minutes in, you're like, oh, this is a mismatch. And you know what the Celtics have, which Philly doesn't? Boston has a combination of old, really good veteran players going forward. Al Horford, Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, and new young stars. Right now, Philadelphia's got two young stars. J.J. Redick probably won't re-sign with them if they go out and get a Paul George. So, like, when you watch that game last night, it's two really talented teams, but I thought that was a remarkable showing by Boston. On a day's rest, a day and a half of prep to shut down Philly like that. And similarly, the Celtics got great execution on their offensive end. How many turnovers did Boston have? God, when's the last time Terry Rozier had a turnover in a big game? I mean, it's incredible.
So Des Bryant remains unsigned. The Ravens offered him a contract, but he didn't want a multi-year deal. The Bills admitted that they had looked at him on tape but didn't go any further, which means they didn't even want to call him.
Right.
Now, most of the critics of Des Bryant will say that he is a distraction in the locker room. However, someone who disagrees with that is his former quarterback, Tony Romo. Here's what Romo said about him.
Yeah, there's a ton of teams that he could help. I don't know how many teams. They'll do their homework on it, but Des is a good teammate. I think sometimes that might get lost in the way that the emotional aspect of things. But, if I was talking to any of the GMs or coaches, I would tell them, he's not going to hurt the locker room in any possible way. He's going to come out and, he'll be a great teammate when he gets there. And I think he'll, have a couple options here soon.
Is Tony just being a PR guy there, or do you think that maybe it's overblown how Des is in the locker room?
Well, I think Des does fit if you don't want to pay him a lot. We keep forgetting this is a salary cap league. I'll take Des Bryant for $1.5 million. If I'm Baltimore, my whole thing with Des has been, for a young quarterback, he's not a good fit. But for $1.5 million, Yeah, I'd throw him on the outside for if I was Baltimore. Like Baltimore doesn't have, New York Jets. Now they have Sam Darnold, so scratch that. But like Joe Flacco, I'd give him Dez for a year. Sure.
Giants?
No, they got too much of a circus.
And finally, yesterday we talked about how Jason Witten was still pondering whether to stay with the Cowboys or join Monday Night Football or maybe another network.
Yeah, what's the latest on that?
Well, so one person who actually had a very similar situation was that we just talked about, Tony Romo.
Yeah.
And he talked about how tough that decision can be for Witten.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I think that's the biggest challenge. You could chase that thing forever, but and it might be the next year, but it might be 10 years away. And it's a tough decision.
So there's obviously a lot of parallels here. Romo retired early because he got offered an amazing broadcasting job. Same thing with Witten. He can still play.
But remember, Jason Witten is a tight end. Now just think about this. Jason Witten is a tight end. Is he ever going to be offered the number one analyst at a network again? Because we're going to have a quarterback retire here in the next 2 years, and he's going to get that offer. So if I'm Jason Witten, I take the broadcasting job. Now, if I was Tony Romo, Romo being a Cowboy quarterback, could have waited a year, and he would have been offered the Monday Night Football job this year. But when you're a tight end, I mean, don't kid yourself. Who's the number one analyst at most of these places? Look at. I mean, it's like Terry Bradshaw was a quarterback, and Dan Marino and Boomer Esiason. Quarterbacks get these jobs. Tight ends don't get these offers.
It's possible. Well, it's also possible that none of these jobs open up at all in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, if Romo sticks, how long has Aikman been the guy for us?
You don't give those jobs up.
Exactly.
The job gives up on you before you give up on the job.
Right.
Just like radio. I'm not giving up on radio. Now, they may give up on me, but I could do this in my pajamas at home. I'm doing this till I'm 90. I may not be good. They'll pull me off the air. I'm not quitting this.
We'll just give you a microphone. It won't go anywhere, but you can just yell into it.
All right. John Goulet with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie
Yeah,
News.
some jobs you quit and some just quit on you. Let's go to Chris Broussard, our NBA guy this morning. He's going to come on the set humbled. Of course he is, because this guy just loves him some Sixers, and it's a little eat crow this morning, is it not? I mean, let's be honest. Boston didn't have their 3 best players, and it was a spanking. Wow.
I'm convinced that if Boston had its best player, who's Kyrie Irving, they'd be better. But how much better, I'm not sure. I mean, that system, Brad Stevens is the man.
Listen, I'm watching last night, and Avery Bradley left to a team to be
He was a great player.
A very good player. To be more of a focal point. His numbers went down. Okay, Isaiah Thomas is a journeyman. He got MVP votes. I'm watching Boston last night. I'm like, with a day and a half prep, their offense looked like it had a month to prepare.
It's team basketball. And Al Horford looks better than ever. Obviously, Terry Rozier is playing well. But all that said, I'm still with Philadelphia.
Oh, time out. What now? Come after last night?
Yeah.
In this series?
No, I said yesterday, and you know that, I don't speak for yourself, I wouldn't be surprised if Boston wins. I actually think, look, I'm picking the Cavs to win the East. I think Boston, they would give the Cavs a battle if they survive this second round.
No, time out.
They're smart. They play.
No. Boston's
defense.
beating Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't have that system. I'm watching Boston.
It'd be one tremendous player against a great team.
Think about this. And we were talking about this. This is what Belichick does. He takes every, C-plus receiver, and at the end you're like, I don't remember Chris Hogan being that good in Buffalo.
Yep.
I don't remember. Okay, you tell me, is Terry Rozier that good? I texted a scout last night, an NBA scout, 20 years in the NBA. I said, what do you make of Rozier? He goes, he starts on maybe 10 teams in the league. He was the best player on the floor last night. Okay, that's Brad. Now, I got nothing against Rozier. But he's not a starter on top teams in this league.
No,
he was
the
best player on the floor last night.
I agree. And all that said, though, I still have Philly in 6.
You do get this. Now, I'm seen as a guy that hates Philadelphia. It's a wonderful.
And we still have our bet, right?
What's our bet?
Oh, you forgot?
No. What is it? What is it?
If Philadelphia gets to the conference finals, then you have to come on and do your show in a full Philadelphia 76ers uniform. But back in the heyday, like the 80s, like Dr. J.
Oh, geez.
So like the short shorts,
Yeah.
the high tube socks,
Okay.
the Converse sneakers,
Now, what
old
if
Converse.
I didn't have a counter to that bet, right? That was all
Yeah,
on me.
you didn't come up with a counter, so
Okay.
it's just a one-sided
Well, I feel
bet.
pretty good because you know what I watched last night? What I watched last night was a Philadelphia team that we've all embraced. And I get it because they're fun. And let's be honest, Chris, for the last decade, if LeBron's not in a series, you and I have said this privately, some are hard to watch.
No
We're
doubt.
falling in love with fun. Philadelphia's not great. We're falling in love because they're interesting, and we're dying for something in the East that is just captivating. This is a baby team.
But so is Boston.
Well, no, Horford's not a baby.
Marco Bellinelli's not
Marcus
a baby.
Smart is Horford's the best veteran in this series. He carried them.
I'll give you that.
So with Boston, I get veterans who are good and young kids that are exceptional. In Philly, I get a couple young kids that are exceptional. I'm telling you, I was blown away by last
There's
night.
no question. I wasn't surprised by what happened last night, but I'm not writing off the Sixers because they do have the two best players in the series who are going to be all-time greats.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Ben Simmons is going to be an all-time great. Embiid got hurt again last night.
Well, he has to stay healthy. That's the whole issue.
Let
with
you
him.
and Gottlieb are on this thing. They're going to live forever. Listen, if you were an NBA reporter and this was the knock on Broussard, do you guys like Broussard? I do, but he doesn't show up Wednesday through Friday. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna like the other guy who's actually here. Like, you got to show up.
No doubt, but and that's legitimate. He's got to be healthy. But if he is, they are the team of the future in the Eastern Conference.
No. So you're going to double down on this.
Yes,
and
I'm doubling
Philadelphia is the team in the East.
Boston's going to be there. Like, it's going to be a great rivalry for the next several years. But Philadelphia's they're going to be better.
Okay, we disagree
And they
on
might
that.
get
I think Celtics are Ali.
A certain Mr. James might end up there.
Oh,
too.
let's slow down. The Celtics are Ali. Philadelphia's Frazier. They'll land their punches. No, what's wrong with Joe Frazier?
I think it's the reverse. I think Ali, exciting, fun to watch. That's Philadelphia.
But Muhammad
they got
Ali's,
the talker and Embiid.
Yeah, but Philadelphia, the reason Muhammad Ali is not, Jerry Cooney was fun. The reason Ali's Ali is because he was great and fun.
Yes.
To be great, you got to win multiple titles. The Seattle Sonics won a title. They're not an all-time great team. They were my team as a kid. So to be great, you got to be, to be an all-time, you got to be great and fun. Ali was both.
They're going to be great. Trust me.
Okay. What, a lot of trust going on today's show. Let me throw this at you. I don't think we understand what we just saw with LeBron. He led them in 9 categories. Now, okay, you can have the Michael's better than LeBron argument. I don't care. I'm not losing sleep on that. But the best series I ever saw Michael in was Phoenix. He led them in 3 categories. Assists, steals, Pippen. Rebounds, blocks, Horace Grant, Rodman, Tony Kukoc, Kerr. You go to those Utah series and those Phoenix series, and Jordan was filthy. He didn't lead them in half the categories. LeBron led them in 9 categories.
Michael Jordan was playing against Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, who was great when he was healthy, Karl Malone and John Stockton, and LeBron just did his against Victor Oladipo in the first round. And you're saying that was better than anything Michael Jordan ever did?
My point being, you're muddying my point.
Really?
My point is, in the 2 greatest series I ever saw Michael play, these are his all-time greats. He had lots of help. He didn't have to block shots and go to the glass. He didn't have to be the 3-point specialist. He didn't have to be. He didn't have the responsibility to take always the best offensive guy Pippen did. LeBron had to literally go, okay, I'll take who's hot for them. I'll guard him. Oh, Kevin Love can't hit shots. I'll go out and shoot threes. That's an incredible feat.
Look, LeBron was great. And generally, I do prefer the player like the LeBron James type, the Magic Johnson, Ben Simmons type player who does it all and who gets his teammates involved. I generally prefer that player to the scorer, the flat-out scorer, the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Donovan Mitchell. I like Simmons better than Mitchell because Simmons does everything.
I'm the same one.
Yeah, but Mitchell is phenomenal. But Jordan is different, and this is why he's the GOAT, because we never saw it hurt his team. Like, he always won. These other great scorers don't win. They didn't always win like Michael Jordan did. And Jordan didn't dominate the basketball like LeBron and like a lot of other players today do.
Yeah.
Their stats are a little inflated because they always have the ball in their hands. When the ball was put in Michael Jordan's hands, granted, only for a month,
Yeah.
Doug Collins made him the point guard, kind of playing like LeBron. He racked up a bunch of triple-doubles in an era when it was harder to get them.
Yeah.
You're not buying it, but I'm right.
Okay, let's segue to this finally. For
Now
the
you
last,
just changed.
No, I didn't. I gave you
No
chance.
rebuttal, nothing.
No, I don't have to rebut everything you say. You can just be wrong on your own. So let me talk Westbrook for a second. Now, I'm not into who's right, but I thought this series for Westbrook was a game changer. I thought he went into the series as MVP triple-double guy, and he came out of the Utah series as weird. He couldn't get through press conferences. He was confronting fans. 82 shots in 2 games. Listen, wouldn't you at least admit that NBA people around the league, when you talk Westbrook now, at least 1A is he's not easy for anybody. Press, fans, coaches, teammates. This series to me affected his legacy, at least short-term legacy.
See, I think we knew this is who Westbrook was.
Did we?
Like, talking to people throughout this year, a lot of people in the league, he's got a lot of fans, but a lot of people just say he's hard to play with.
Look at this stuff.
He's hard to play.
I mean, what the hell is
this
that?
was not a good look, but is this going to sully his image and reputation? I don't think so.
But it adds to the mystery. He's an enigma now. Nobody thought last year.
But he doesn't really talk with the press. He's, standoffish. I've seen him at, all-star parties. He's kind of to himself, not really. He might be in an area where there's a lot of players, but he's doing his own thing. That's just how he is, and that's how he plays. But we knew he is who we thought he was, right? And why is he had his bad moments in this series, obviously away from the court too. But why is he getting all the blame? Why is nobody looking at Melo, who all of a sudden became an 11-point scorer on 37% shooting? Paul George, who gave him 5 points.
Okay, Paul George was great in Game 5, and Paul George isn't the MVP. Once you get that mantle, here's the magnifying glass.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that he's on a different level, but he's Allen Iverson. He's that type of guy.
Guy in the mailroom comes in with a hangover. Nobody cares. Vice president of marketing comes in with a hangover. Everybody talks about it for a week.
Look, he's not going to win you a title.
That was not a personal anecdote, by the way. I'm just throwing things out here to make radio.
He's going to be in that Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing.
Oh, no.
Range.
Barkley wasn't a crazy person.
He spit on a fan.
3 times
He threw
max.
a fan through a window.
1 time in a bad night in Orlando.
Done nothing like that.
These are reaches. These are egregious reaches.
He is in that mode.
All right, good seeing you, buddy. Coming up next, it's a sentence in New York. Let it go without pushback. I don't get it. That's next. Chris Broussard, this is The Herd.